welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and wow, we've got a super special movie star, a beautiful actress, Pat Priest, on the show today, and I am so excited. Let's check in with her. She is from the Munsters, the hit TV show, The Munsters, and she played Marilyn Munster. Hey, Pat, how you doing today?
Just fine, AJ. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I hardly believed it was me.
It's so wonderful. You know, you are a classic movie star, and it's my honor to interview you today. And I just want to thank you so much for all the joy that you have brought to me and so many Munster fans and just the audience. We just love you so, so much, Pat.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Eddie. You know, all the wonderful fans I have, it has just made my journey.
It really has.
Show and afterwards so exciting and so rewarding for me.
Wonderful.
And now I'm an old lady.
Oh, you know what, Pat, you're as young as how we feel, and you're young always in our hearts. So I just want to say that
I laugh, AJ. I'd say, well, I feel probably about 50 from 9 to 5, and then I feel 90.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So, Pat, we share and celebrate with you the wonder of Hollywood and the wonderful entertainment business that you've been in a long time. And you started out as you were kind of a model and an actress, and you won some shows. So let me share with the audience a little bit about you. I'm so happy to interview you. You were born in Utah and graduated in 1954 from Washington Lee High School in Arlington, Virginia. You're a graduate of Marjorie Webster Junior College and crowned first international Azalea Festival Queen in 1954. This is where it started, right, Pat?
Well, I got my start when I was about 16. My mother was directing a church roadshow, and it was a group of shows. And we'd go from one church to the next church in an evening, and you'd go and see the shows, and you'd see about 6 different shows. And they were all judged. They were 15 minutes, and you had so many minutes the contents was so many minutes to set up the show. Churches. Well, my mother needed a curtain act of 3 minutes, and my mother had written and directed our little production. And she needed a 3-minute curtain act while they were setting up the material, the stage. So she decided that I was going to do a comic record pantomime, because that was the record for about 3 minutes. So she decided, she found it out. There was a wonderful old British comedian woman called Beatrice Kay. And she sang this crazy song called Hooray, Hooray, I'm Going Away, with the man in the little white coat. And then she breaks out laughing, and the whole half of the record is laughing.
That's good.
So I come out on the stage, and I'm kind of like a crazy lady. I got a hat with a bird on the spring on, and I'm running across the stage, pantomiming to the record. You know, hooray, hooray, I'm going away with the man in the little white coat. And then when I start to laugh, I'd fall down on the stage, I'd roll over, and of course everyone was laughing a lot. And then a man in a little white coat comes and they take two men and they come and they take me away.
So it's really theater and a whole bunch of a little bit of karaoke. This was, what did you?
Exactly. And then we went around and it was really, everyone loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, they started calling me the program. I only had one record. That's the only thing I did.
Yeah.
So I got Beatrice Kay's entire album. And I got up some other songs. And of course, I also did Al Jolson in my father's tuxedo in blackface, which I could probably be put in jail now. Thank God I'm not running for politics or appearing on a high school assembly in blackface.
Oh, yeah.
Imitating Al Jolson, but I did it.
Wow.
And so then it came to the attention of a television host in Salt Lake City. I lived in a little town outside of Salt Lake called Idaho. And he invited me to come in and do my pantomime on his show. So I did. Well, then he wanted me every week to come in and do a pantomime of, anything I wanted to do, popular singers, whatever. So I did. And I did that for probably, maybe 6 months. And then we were transferred, my mother was nominated or became the treasurer of the United States. And we moved back to Washington. And I was there. I was a junior in high school. And in my senior year, there was in Washington, D.C., on the old Dumont network. And it was called the Art Lamb Show. And the gal that worked with him was leaving. And they were looking for another girl. And my mom said, well, why don't you go down and audition? They pantomime songs, and the girl would do the weather and any news that belonged to women. And I said, well, okay, I will. So I went down to the station and I auditioned and I got the job.
Wow.
Well, now I was a senior in high school, so they had to adjust my schedule. And I'd go from 8 o'clock in the morning to 1. Our show went on at 5. And then I'd drive into Washington, D.C. My high school was in Arlington, Virginia. And I'd drive into Washington, D.C. And at that time, of course, we had to take everything off the wire service. I had to make up all my own cue cards. I had to do the weather. Nothing was done for you. No one. You did it all yourself. And so and they adjusted my schedule, so I was out of school by 1 o'clock. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I married a naval officer in Washington, D.C., and we were then subsequently transferred to the the West Coast. And we were in California. And so I decided, well, maybe it'd be kind of fun. Before that, we were transferred to Virginia, and I did local commercials for local businesses, because to go on television in the South, you couldn't have an accent, a Southern accent. Well, I didn't have one. I was from the West. So I had 10 different commercial accounts, and I did their commercials.
Wow.
And then I do little theater and, that type of thing always. And until finally we were transferred to California. And that's when I got an agent and started out in commercials.
Incredible, Pat. Incredible. Thank you so much for that. What a journey. And I'm so proud of you. It's beautiful that where from back east, when you moved out, that move was part of the key, wasn't it? Do you think that was a crucial part of coming to Hollywood, was marrying your husband and then being transferred out to California?
Well, we didn't know. We moved every 2 years, and I never, I didn't know we were, going to California.
Yeah.
We first went to Northern California, and then 2 years later went to Southern California, and that's when I got an agent, which was not an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. How did you do that? How did you get an agent?
Well, there was an older woman named Jessie Wadsworth, and she was kind of a character, kind of a head hopper type with the big hats. And she literally ended up, she was older, having two clients, me and another gal. And I took all my, scrapbook and everything I'd done and what have you. And someone had recommended her. And so I went to see her and she took me on. And she was the one that got me lots of commercials. And then she got me lots of big parts. And she was the one that got me the Munsters.
Amazing.
Well, she got me the interview, let's say. Nobody gets the part for you but you.
Yeah.
But she got me the interviews.
Wow. Congratulations. And what did you think of Hollywood?
Well, I lived 45 minutes out. I lived out in Thousand Oaks. And I was married. I had 2 children. And so for me, if I got a job, great, wonderful. If I didn't get a job, great, wonderful. Didn't make any difference because I had my life. My life wasn't dependent upon acting. Acting was something I knew I could do, but and then I was finally in the place, and as my mother used to often say to me, it's when preparation, luck and preparation meets opportunity.
Yes. Oh, that is so terrific. I love that your mother said that. And it's so true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And, the same thing happened in her life. And so, and as I say, I think, not being like a starving little waitress trying to get a job, and in Hollywood, which was very difficult. For me, it didn't make any difference if I did or I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
it was just that young mother type. And when I started, and my first commercial was Kellogg's Rice Krispies. As a young mother, that got me in the union.
Wow.
I didn't even belong to the union when I started going, because you can't belong to the union unless you have a job, and you can't get a job unless you belong to the union.
So true.
22, yes.
Yeah, you
But
did.
that got me in the union.
I love Kellogg's cereal, don't you? I still.
It started me out.
Thank goodness for Kellogg's. Thank you, Kellogg's. And so thank you so much, Pat. I wanted to share, you touched on your mother, and I want to share a little bit about your mom and also all the great TV episodes you've starred in. So let's talk about your mom for a second.
Okay.
Your mom, Ivy Baker Priest, and your father, Roy Priest. Your mother was U.S. Treasurer from January 28th, 1953 to January 29th, 1961. She was appointed by President Dwight Eisenhower and the American paper currency during that time of Ivy's tenure for her signature. How fascinating is that? Isn't that something?
I know his mother used to say, it's the old adage, um, water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink when we were talking about her name being on all the money.
Isn't that something? I mean, not everybody get a lot of people. That's a very special privilege to have. And she worked her way up to that stature and that point. A point.
She certainly did. When she was 18 years old, she ran for the state legislature in Utah.
Wow.
When she was 18. Now, she didn't get it, but, she ran for Congress when she was 40 years old, and she lost to a woman judge who'd been in for 16 years by only 4,000 votes.
Wow, she did so well. I bet you're so.
So after that, she was chairman of the Republican Party and assistant chairman under Art Summerfield. And that's when she was ahead of all the women's divisions voting, Republican women's divisions about the United States. And that's when Eisenhower, after he won, called her he was up in the Waldorf hotel in New York, and he called her to come in from Utah. He wanted to talk with her. And she thought that because she knew all the prominent women and all the big contributors and because there were a lot of appointed jobs for women, the Mint and, all kinds of different jobs. And so she went prepared with all the influential women in the country. And he said to her just right out, he said, Ivy, how would you like to be Treasurer of the United States?
Wow.
they were sitting in the living room of the suite.
Incredible. Incredible.
That changed her life.
Yeah.
That changed our life. My brother and sister and I changed all of our lives.
Amazing. Amazing. What an accomplishment. What an achievement for your mother. And it's historical. She's part of history. So thank you to you and to your mother and your family for their service in our government.
Thank you.
And what a wonderful thing, Pat. Thank you for sharing that. Such an honor to be appointed by a president, Dwight D. Eisenhower. My goodness. I love that story. Thank you. And I also wanted to share with everyone that you have been in some incredible TV episodes: Bewitched, Perry Mason, Death Valley Days, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, where you played the sister to Mary Tyler Moore.
No, I was the sister of Betty White.
Oh, Betty White. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Okay. And how was that? Was that fun on the Mary Tyler Moore Show?
It was. They're wonderful people. And it was an easy show to do. It was done in front of a live audience. And it was fun. It was a wonderful memory for me.
We love all of those shows. I grew up watching them, and I'm so thankful and grateful to you for being a part of them. They are classics. And also, you are a classic movie star. You're very classy, Pat. And you've also been in Looking for Love, a 1964 movie, Easy Come, Easy Go, 1967 with Elvis. The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant, 1971. And
Well, I think every young Hollywood star they had a horror film somewhere when they were starting out.
you also were the voice of the flight attendant in Rob Zombie's recent movie of the Munsters. How was that?
Yeah, oh, that was just a voiceover. I laughed. I said to Rob, I said, first of all, I've lost my voice. I've got a paralyzed vocal cord. Do you want a stewardess that sounds like she's 100 years old? And he said, well, I don't care. He said, and I said, okay, I'll go and I'll do it for you. So I did.
Thank you, Pat. And he's right. It doesn't matter. We love you no matter what, and we love everything about you, Pat. I did want to ask you, I've got some photos on here that I've been showing everyone of how they can order, these great autograph photos from you. And I just wanted to touch on the address and mention that if you're interested in buying a autographed photo of Pat Priest, please look at the screen right here. It says Pat Priest, 2976 East State Street, Suite 120, number 428, Eagle, Idaho, 83616, and they're $30 each with a $5 shipping and handling fee. Please include that for each photograph is $30 each. In fact, Pat, I sent in the mail yesterday, I ordered 2 more ones, number 6 and number 7. And I'll show you that right now. This is number, yeah, this is.
Which ones those are?
Yes. So please be on the lookout, Pat, in the post.
Do family photos, right?
Yes, we did. I love that. I just love, yeah.
If someone contacts me at that address, they can get a photo catalog, and it will show there's 10 photos, and then there's an order form, and they can pick what they want, and they can personalize it, or if they want it autographed or not, just signed, and then we'll send them an order form, and they can do it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Pat. And I have the address on the screen right now, and I'm sure you'll be able to watch it later and see that it's up there. And yes, thank you. And also, there are photos of you and Elvis as well. And they're on the screen right now.
Yeah, they are.
And they're wonderful. And Pat, can you tell us how you met Elvis and how you got to star in Easy Come, Easy Go? You played Dina Bishop. Tell us about that.
That is correct. Well, I had finished filming the Munsters. We did 2 years, and then we were canceled because there was a dispute between the network, which was CBS, and the studio, which was Universal. We wanted to go in color as to who was going to fit the bill for color. And Universal thought it should be CBS. CBS thought it should be Universal. And they just reached an impasse. And so CBS canceled it.
Oh.
And we've been on the air somewhere in the world for the last 60 years, all the time.
It's amazing.
I get mail from Czechoslovakia, Slovenia, a lot of, I don't know, I think they dubbed my voice, or they dubbed the voices in their language.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's international. It's worldwide. And I have a picture right now on screen of the whole cast, including Butch Patrick. Hi, Butch. I interviewed Butch a while back. We love Butch, don't we?
We certainly do. You bet. Butch is like a son to me. He's the same age as Well, he's a little bit about 2 years.
Isn't that
My
something?
oldest boy,
Oh,
and so when he was a young kid, it was just like, another one of my children.
absolutely, absolutely. And
I've adored Butch. He's wonderful.
he is fabulous, yes. And do you have a special moment that you had with Butch on set that you can share that's a fond memory for you?
Well, but when Butch was not on on the set, he was always in school. But I remember his father, was his stepfather, was a baseball player. And I can remember if he wasn't in the school, he was outside the sound stage throwing a baseball back and forth with anybody that would play baseball with him.
That's wonderful.
He was a very polite kid. He was a wonderful kid to work with.
I love hearing that. And he's still that way today. He's still wonderful to work with today. And thank you so much for that, Pat. Also, Yvonne DiCarlo, was she a nice lady to work with? She was a movie star too, right?
Oh, big. She had been big, big time. And Yvonne was a little bit of a diva, rightfully so. She would be a little bit difficult at times, like we all can be. But working with her, I would begin to learn when to say good morning. Sometimes it wasn't until 3 p.m. But Yvonne and I got along with Yvonne because but I can remember one time, very first day, very first scene that I was in was with Yvonne. And we were just inside the Munster house on the threshold there, just inside the door, in a scene. And the director said, Pat, it's just the two of us. He said, Pat, come a little bit further forward. He said, you're in the dark. And I said, oh, okay. So I stepped a little further forward. And Yvonne turned to me and she said, I want to get something straight right now, young lady. Don't you ever upstage me. Well, I jumped back and I figured I'll do the next 2 years in the dark.
Oh my gosh.
Yvonne and I got along great. We went to lunch a lot, the two of us. And we talked about our children because our children, again, were about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And her boy, Bruce. And Yvonne, I'd stop by her house occasionally. She lived off Coldwater Canyon. And I going back and forth to Beverly Hills, I'd go by her house and I'd always stop by. But we got along very well. And of course, Grandpa and Uncle Herman, I was their buddy. I mean, the three of us would go to lunch at the commissary, and I'd always be sitting in the middle of them. And I'd walk out with them. And of course, they're in full costume. And of course, I'm not. And people would turn to me and say, oh my God, how can you sit there and eat with them? I mean, they're all in that awful makeup and all. And, it just goes to show when you know someone and when you get to know someone, you don't care what they look like. They can be green, gray, whatever.
Exactly.
You don't see that. We just sit there and talk about, kids, what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just, don't see any of that. And those were good times for me. And Al was my mentor.
Oh, Al Lewis.
Uh,
Al Lewis, that's amazing. I also know someone, Georgette Dante, who was friends with Al Lewis, and didn't he start in the carnival?
yes, and he also he started in vaudeville. And
Amazing.
he started in the carnival, then went to vaudeville, and then I think he and Fred met on Stalag 17. I'm not sure, but then they did Car 54. Where Are You? Together. They were very good friends, and then they went on to do the Munsters.
Such an incredible story, Pat. I love listening to all of this Hollywood news, because you've been an insider being a movie star, right? You know how the studio works. And I love that you respected Yvonne's initiative that first day. I mean, you're so humble and sweet and loving and endearing, and I bet you looked at that and thought, you know what? I want to work with this beautiful lady, and I'm gonna do right. I'm gonna do everything.
You learn how to be friends, and you learn and respect her wants and her needs, and then you get along.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm the same way. I love that, and I appreciate that about you so much. How did you meet Elvis?
Well, I met Elvis the day I started work. I didn't meet him before that. Hal Wallace was with Paramount, and this again was after the Munsters. And he called, and my agent wanted me to come in, and he wanted to interview me. And he was over at Paramount. And so I went on the interview, and as we talked and all, he told me, I'd like you to play the part of being a bishop in this movie that we're doing with Elvis. And he explained a little bit of it to me, and I said, well, great, I'd love to do it. And in all Elvis's movies, there's always a good girl and a bad girl. And for the first time, me, Doris Day type, blonde, played the bad girl.
How was that?
And that was fun. That was fun. I was a B girl at that time playing. And anyway, I met him that day on the set. When he came in, he comes in with an entourage. He had 10 different guys, wonderful guys that, I got to know all of them. And they, do various things. His chef, his music arranger, his wardrobe, his hair, and everything. And they travel with him. And then we'd sit sometimes in between scenes and, on our chairs, and we'd sit and we'd chat. He was shy. He was religious, very polite, never gave anyone, directors or anyone, any bit of trouble or, back talk or anything, nothing. Very polite, very nice. And it was really a joy working with him.
Amazing.
But at that time, Priscilla was very much in the picture. I never met her. I never saw her. She never came on the set.
Mm-hmm.
But she was very much in the picture. They married shortly after that. But and he was a lovely man. And I know one day we were sitting talking, and I said, I think I'm going to buy a car. And he said, oh God, what are you looking at? I said, well, I kind of got my eye on a Pontiac Grand Prix, and George Barris, who did the Munster coach and the Dracula and that mobile and several other Hollywood themed cars, I said, George, as a friend of mine, and George is going to, he'll customize it for me. He said, oh, that sounds really nice. And he said, you want to buy one? I've got a car I'm going to be selling. I said, oh, well, I couldn't afford any of your cars. And I said, but what is it? And he said, well, I have a 1965 black Cadillac Eldorado. And it's all that. And I said, well, gee, that sounds beautiful. What do you want for it? And he said, oh, I'll take $3,000. And I said, sold.
Wow. So you bought, oh my gosh. So do you still?
The interesting thing is, AJ,
Yeah.
I didn't buy it as Elvis's car. No one knew it was Elvis's car. I drove it for 2 years. And then I traded it in, not as Elvis's car, just I traded it in for the Pontiac Grand Prix, which George Barris then customized it for me.
Wow.
Now, that was the first retirement fund I threw away. I've thrown away 2 or 3 of them, but that was the biggest one. If I had it now, or if I'd had it 10 years ago or whatever, it would have been a nice nest egg, but we didn't think along those lines. The whole time I worked with them, I never got an autograph, never asked for one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And isn't that something, we do the best we can at the moment with what we know, with the information and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was bad time and all. But I just didn't think of things like that. I met a lot of stars and all, but that wasn't my thought.
Right.
I worked in the businesses, and that was it.
You did well.
You didn't save any memorabilia or anything. When I would, Friday night, finish filming, when I'd walk off the set, there was a big round barrel right by the door for garbage. And I just tossed my script in there.
Oh, wow. Really, Pat?
I never saved any scripts.
Wow.
I never saved any Munster stuff. So that's my second retirement fund I threw away.
Do you have any memento or anything from?
I do now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, of course, several years after the Munsters, they started doing memorabilia shows. Well, I didn't have any memorabilia. I didn't have any pictures. I didn't have anything. And Van Williams, who was the Green Hornet.
Yeah.
And he lived a couple blocks away from me and up in Sun Valley, Idaho. And he was my husband's hunting buddy. And Van would go out to these shows, Van and Adam West, Batman. And they go out to these shows all the time. And Van said, Van, you should be doing these shows. And I said, well, I don't know anything about them. What do I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, do you have any memorabilia? And I said, no. Do you have any pictures? No. He said, do you know Kevin Burns, who was the largest Munster collector and also a producer in Hollywood? Not Kevin Burns. And I said, well, yeah, I've known Kevin since he was 12 years old. He came on the set. And he was a mentor of Fred Wynn's. And I said, yeah, I met him when he was a kid. And he said, well, if you get in touch with him? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, he has the largest Munster collection in the world.
Wow.
So I called Kevin, and Kevin said, I'm coming down to California. Kevin, can I get some negatives or some pictures from you? And he said, sure. So I came down. He had all kinds of pictures for me. Not only that, he had a lot of them made up. I mean, several, 50, 100
Wow.
at a pop, and he had them all made up for me. And then Van said to me, I'm going to have Barbara Luna, who was of the South Pacific, married to Doug McClure. He said, do you know her? And I said, no, but I know who she is. And he said, well, I'm going to have Luna call you, or Barbara call you, and you can meet up with her, and she does a lot of shows. She can tell you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I didn't know about pens or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I met with Barbara, and she took me to a stationery store in Beverly Hills, and we got me set up with pens and everything, and I was scheduled to do a show, and it was a big Hollywood show, and that was the first show I did. And then I went on to do shows for years and years and years, up until just this last year. I've stopped doing them simply because the traveling to get to the shows is so difficult.
Yeah.
And most of the biggest shows are on the East Coast, and flying out of Idaho is not that easy.
Yes, I agree. I understand. And but we want to thank you, Pat, for all the shows that you have done. And I know I saw some shows that you went to at the Munster mansion in Texas as well. You were there signing autographs, and I want to thank you.
I did.
Yeah.
I did for 7 years. I went to every Halloween. They opened it up to the public.
Oh, wow.
Sandra and Chuck McKee, they built that home. And they lived in it. But they'd opened it up to the public every Halloween, not as a scary house, just as a miniature house for people to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there to sign. They bring me in to sign autographs.
Amazing.
And they're wonderful, and they're still going with it. Now they do mystery dinners.
Oh, wow. That's so much fun.
And they have become very good friends of mine.
Oh, that's great.
Over the years. So
I love that.
I have very, very good memories of the shows and the people.
Yes. What is your favorite memory of the Munsters? What is that for you? Is there a certain time on set, or when you were all together, or one-on-one?
Well, I think the some of the best memories are we became a family personally as well as professionally.
Yeah.
We all had children about the same age, and they were just us. There were no arguments, no fights, no disagreements on this set. I know the reporters and all have asked about that. And I said, I'm sorry, we were very boring. We were very normal. We had a lot of fun. And I think those are my fondest memories. And also, Al and Fred were always putting me on and putting Yvonne on. We never knew the truth.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
So
they'd lie about their ages. They were just always putting me on because they knew I was gullible and believed everything they said.
Oh, wow. Pat, that's so funny. When you went to the commissary with them, or when you had meals with them, what would you guys end up eating? Just like chicken sandwiches or soups or?
Yeah. Just sandwiches or a hamburger. Yeah.
Okay, great. Just wanted to ask that. You have 2 sons. Is that correct?
I do, yes.
Are
one
they?
Of my sons, one of my sons, well, they both lived in California, but my oldest boy now lives a mile away from me in Idaho.
Wonderful.
He's retired and lives there, and it's wonderful for me.
Yes.
And then my youngest boy has been a Superior Court judge in Orange County
Oh, wow.
for 24 years.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that with us. And is your other son, who's retired, was he in the film industry?
No, no. He was an eBay auction agent.
Okay. Oh, that's very,
And he liquidated estates and sold off collections and all kinds of things. He did that about 26 years.
oh, wow.
And then he just phased out of it when he moved up here.
Okay. Okay.
And my youngest boy is still sitting on the bench. His name is Lance Jensen.
Oh, hi, Lance.
Jensen.
Thank you for your service, Lance.
Yeah, right. He comes up for election one more time before he retired.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that
We
he.
want him to get back in. He's never had any trouble. He's a wonderful judge.
Oh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much, Lance, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that he is as continues to be so. Is there anyone you would like to say thank you or acknowledge?
Well, I'm just trying to think. Well, my husband just passed away. I'd like to thank him for his perseverance and patience. But
I'm so sorry for your loss, Pat.
Butch and Al, for their friendships all these years. It came to the point after the Munsters, I never saw Fred and Al, but not Fred and Yvonne, but Al did some shows with us. And of course, I did a lot of years with Butch. And those are really fond memories, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we just want
to. The interesting thing was, to me, it was a job.
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as being a star or a celebrity or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a job, you know.
Yeah.
I lived out in Thousand Oaks. I was 45-minute drive from the studio.
Yeah.
And I'd come in the morning and then I'd go home and, have dinner and whatever. And that was it.
It's amazing. We have this photo of you with the coach, the Munster coach, and
Yes.
you're in a leopard print bathing suit. You look absolutely gorgeous, and white pumps. Do you remember that day?
You know what? Yes, and you know what? I had that bathing suit up until I did the big chiller show in New York. And I sold the bathing suit, and that was just last year.
Wow.
I had that bathing suit
Incredible.
for 60 years.
Wow, Pat.
It looked fabulous.
I believe it. And they don't make them like that anymore, do they?
Oh, they don't. No. And that was a little bit. And the interesting thing was that was not sanctioned by the Munsters. It wasn't for the Munsters. It was because they'd never let Marilyn wear a bathing suit.
Right on. Right. Yes.
And I did it for George Barris, who made the coach and the Dracula. And it was a photo shoot for him.
Looks
And
amazing.
he wanted that bathing suit, so.
You're gorgeous and beautiful, Marilyn, as Marilyn, Pat. And did you get to ride in that coach, the Munster coach? Was it fun?
It was not a smooth ride.
Oh, really?
No, it was not a smooth ride. And we just go around the block. We never went out on the highway or anything. It was, around the studio or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as I tell you, it was a rough ride.
That's incredible.
It certainly drew attention.
Yes. And now Butch is traveling. He travels across the country with it. So please support and follow Butch Patrick as well, because he also, gives.
He has the Dracula also.
Right, and I've got the picture on the screen right now so everyone can see that, the Dragula, the gold Dragula, amazing. And so please follow Butch Patrick and all he's up to and what he's doing as well, and support him. He's also got a website. And you've got a Facebook fan group. Did you know about that? There's a Facebook fan group about you? Oh, okay.
You know what? I don't know. I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm not on any social media at all.
So to support you, they can write and get the catalog, right, of the photos?
You bet.
Okay,
You bet.
beautiful. And I do want to thank my very special friend, Lois Grubb, for arranging and organizing this interview. Thank you, Lois. Lois is in charge of
Yes, thank you, Lois. Lois has been wonderful to me.
She's amazing. Go ahead. Yeah.
She's helped me. She doesn't handle my fan mail like Butch, but that's a big job for her. But she's put me up on his website, and the website they have. She has been a great help to me.
She is beautiful heart. She has a beautiful heart and lovely spirit and person. She's my sweet friend, Lois Grubb. Yes, she's in charge of the Butch Patrick fan group that is on Facebook. So be sure to check that out. And we love you, Lois. Thank you, Lois. Mwah. And thank you for referring Pat Priest to us. And Pat, again, I do want to say you're just so classy and lovely in every way. You are truly a movie star in every sense of the word, and we appreciate and love you so, so much. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for speaking with me today. And I have one last question. I'm so sorry. We're going to have to start wrapping up the show. But my question to you is, what is your heart message for the world?
I think we need to learn to respect one another. But we've somehow lost that. We've lost our morals. We need to love one another more. There's so much hate in this world now. We need to love one another and care for one another and show kindness. You know, so many people are so into themselves, and they believe in entitlements and all. And I just think we should reach out and help other people. You know, I'm old now, but I have always respected and liked older people, because I always felt that I will be there one day. And if I'm nice to people, maybe they'll be nice to me. And know what they are. They are.
Absolutely. Beautiful, Pat. Thank you so much. And I was holding up a candle, my bat candle, in honor of you, because you are a bright and shining star.
Oh,
and
thank you so much.
Yes, and you'll be able to see it on my Facebook. I'm going to put you on my website and my Facebook and YouTube channel and all over, Pat. And I want to give you a kiss. Mwah. We love you. We love you, Pat. Thank you so much, Pat. And talking
with you.
Thank you. And until next time, Pat, I'm going to end the show now. And thank you again.
You bet.